Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are back with some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are talking about Invoked, Dogmatika, Shaddoll. So, this is probably one of the best control decks in the format, along with Eldritch, and let's talk about it. So quickly, let's talk about Aleister the Invoker. Aleister the Invoker allows you to search out your fusion spell, as well on normal summon, as well as allowing you to go into a light monster, which can get you into Mechaba, which is a free negate. Pretty solid. And with the amount of hand traps that you're playing, it's very nice. A negate is just really good, especially since it banishes the card instead of sending it to the graveyard. So, Aleister the Invoker just requires you to have the same attribute as the monster you wish to fusion summon. So, for example, if you want to go into Mechaba, you need a light from either player's graveyard or your side of the field. You can also use your hand, but it's not as good. But you can. So that's why we are playing Artemis. You just link summon your Aleister into this guy, and then you have the light target for your Mechaba. And then we have the Magical Meltdown and Terraforming in order to search out this guy. This card's also really good because your opponent cannot activate effects when a monster is fusion summoned, and also fusion summoned monsters cannot be negated. So any effects, basically your fusion monsters are not able to be negated. It's really good. Moving on, we have the Dogmatika side of the deck, which Dogmatika Ecclesia, when it is normal or special summoned, you can add one of your Dogmatika cards. Also, it can special summon itself when a monster is special summoned from the extra deck. Same with Fleurdelis, and not with Maximus, but we'll get into that in a second. Fleurdelis, when it is special summoned and you control another Dogmatika card, you can negate the effect of a face-up monster on the field. Really solid. Also, when it is special summoned, when a Dogmatika monster attacks, you can increase the attack of all Dogmatika cards by 500. So if you have a whole bunch of Dogmatikas on the field, you're able to boost them all up by 500 once per turn. Very solid. Moving on, we have Maximus. You can special summon this card by banishing an extra deck monster from the graveyard. And then you can send two monsters with different names from your deck to the grave, from your extra deck to the grave, and then your opponent does the same. However, all of these cards, all of the Dogmatika cards, actually, lock you from the extra deck. So you're not able to use the extra deck if you use these. But it doesn't really matter because you have a lot of extra deck monsters that, if they are sent from the extra deck to the grave, have some pretty solid effects. So Maximus is actually pretty good. Then we are playing the one Nadir Servant, which is basically just a search. You send a monster from your deck to the from your extra deck to the grave in order to search out any of your Dogmatika monsters. Then we have Punishment, which is basically just you target a face-up monster and destroy it by sending something from the grave. So it can be a pop 2. So if you activate Punishment, target a monster, destroy it by sending Entis. And then Entis, basically all this says is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you target a card in the field and destroy it. So basically, you activate Punishment, you send the Entis. Entis then pops another card. Very, very good. Moving on to the Shaddoll engine, we have Hedgehog, Wendi, Dragon, Beast, and Ariel. They all do something when they are sent to the graveyard. Hedgehog searches a monster, Wendi special summons a monster in face-down defense position, Dragon pops a spell or trap, Ariel banishes 3 cards from either graveyard, and Beast draws you a card. How are you sending them? Off of Shaddoll Fusion. Shaddoll Fusion allows you to fusion summon a Shaddoll monster from the extra deck by using your hand or field, or if there isn't a extra deck monster on your opponent's side of the field, you can use your deck as well. So you can just send them from the deck in order to get their effects as well. And then you can also go into some powerful fusions. On top of that, we are playing the one Schism. Schism, what this card does is basically just allows you to fusion summon a Shaddoll monster by banishing from your field or graveyard the materials necessary. Moving on, we have your... also, it then gets rid of, destroys, sends to the grave. Doesn't even destroy, it just sends a monster your opponent controls non-targeting with the same attribute as the fusion summoned monster. So if you summon a Winda, you can send a dark monster from the field to the grave for free. Schism is really good. It's a little bit hard to actually use, but you can also search it off of Hedgehog's effect. So, with the Shaddolls, we have Shaddoll Winda. Winda basically says only one special summon, and I can't be destroyed by card effects. For both players, you just can't special summon. It's a floodgate. We have Construct. Construct, when it's special summon, sends a Shaddoll card from deck to grave. Also, it destroys any special summoned monster at the start of damage step. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Shaddoll spell or trap in the grave and just add it back to your hand. And then we have Apkallone, which basically just says add a Shaddoll card from deck to your grave, or from deck or grave to your hand when it's sent to the graveyard. Then discard card. So, really solid. As for the other extra deck cards, we have Caliga, which is a monster effect floodgate, I think I mentioned. We have Purgatrio, which is basically a board closeout. You summon this with a fire type monster and then attack into all of your opponent's monster, inflicting piercing battle damage, and he gets pretty big. We have Magllanica, just a big guy, and an earth. We have Augoeides, which pops a card when it is special summoned or when a monster is special summoned. And then you can also banish a fusion monster to make it real big. We have Titaniklad, which when it is sent from the extra deck to the graveyard, you can add or special summon a Dogmatika monster. And then we have Gravity Controller and Artemis, as I've already mentioned. The Artemis is basically just here for the light target, and Gravity Controller is likewise, although he's dark. So that's more or less it. There are definitely better cards that you could be playing as well, but I don't really have them. Obviously, I forgot to mention Lightning Storm, Cosmic Cyclone, two very good cards. Let's just move on to the replays. Now, before we get into these duels, I just wanted to say that did you know almost 80%, over 80% of the people who watch my channel are not subscribed? That's all. Alright, so here we are in our first match, and we are going second, which kind of sucks, but it's all good. They're going to go for a Hero Lives, so we're playing up against heroes. They're going to activate their elemental hero Stratos. I'm going to let that go, even though I do have the Gamma. I want to hit this guy in particular. Ferris gets you a ton of advantage, and I want to prevent that from happening. So we are going to activate the Gamma to destroy the Ferris and prevent them from going into the Vision Hero increase. They're going to then Fusion Destiny into Dominance. So, we don't have Destroy Phoenix Enforcer at the moment. Otherwise, you would most assuredly go for that instead. That card is that card is insane. So, they stacked our deck, so we ended up drawing a Shaddoll Dragon. But we were going to go for Magical Meltdown in order to grab ourselves the Invoker. Invoker is then going to add the Invocation, and then link, or just kidding. I haven't actually put into our extra deck at this point the Selene, or Artemis, sorry. So I'm going to have to fuse from the hand using the Maximus. We are then going to activate Invocation's secondary effect in order to bring back the Aleister, the Invoker, into our hand and shuffle back the Invocation. We're then going to special summon the Ecclesia. Ecclesia is going to search punishment. We are going to set that, and then we are going to proceed to battle. We're going to get over this, the Stratos, and then go to end phase. During the end phase, Dominus is going to activate in order to special summon a whole bunch of monsters, and we are going to negate that using our dragon here. So Mechaba is going to negate, and we are going to proceed. So negate, banish, and they are going to go with Raigeki. That does clear the board, but that is all that they can do, and we already have the Aleister for the follow-up. So at this point, we basically have lethal. So we're going to activate the Invocation. We're going to banish 2. We're going to go for the Mechaba again. We are going to go for the Invocation once again. And then at this point, we go to battle and attack in for game by boosting up with Aleister. There you go. Pretty simple. Alright, and here is the second match. I believe we're going first in this one. Yes, okay. So, we have Aleister the Invoker. So, well, first and foremost, we're going to Prosperity for 3. And we're going to see what we can get off of it. We reveal nothing great. I think I actually end up grabbing an Aleister the Invoker here. So, we're going to normal summon an Invoker. We are going to add the Invocation to our hand. We are then going to Invocate, and we are going to go for a Shaddoll Winda. As you can tell, I still don't have the Artemis in the deck. I don't know why that is the case, but I don't. So we're going to go for Winda here. They are going to steal our Shaddoll Beast. They are going to normal summon a Mizuki, and they are going to attack over our board. This is all sorts of a mess. I drew the Invocation for turn, so it doesn't end up mattering. We're going to banish 2 for Augoeides, and then Augoeides' effect is going to pop a monster, and then we are going to activate Invocation, get back our Aleister the Invoker. And then we're just going to attack in for 2k. We do have the Imperm, so we are going to Ash Blossom this Squire, negate the effect in order to special summon, and just proceed from there. I didn't want to activate this Imperm because they had this set card, and I was like, I don't really know if I need to do that. I can just respond to anything and negate it if need be. But it turns out I literally cannot do that. They're going to go for Zombie World here. By banishing the Necro World Banshee. We are going to go for Nadir Servant, which you found off the top, in order to go for Ecclesia. Then we are going to special summon that and get our punishment, and then activate Augoeides to boost up and then attack in for quite a bit of damage. They're going to go for Mizuki, summon out the Squire, go into the Spectral Sword, and then go into the Infernity Doom Archer, or Archfiend, and then we're just going to pop that with Augoeides. And yeah, that's game. I still don't have Artemis in my deck. I played so many games just not using Artemis because I'm dumb. So here we go for the Invocation once again. We are going for the Mechaba. And we are going to activate the Invocation, bring back the Aleister, and then we are going to, I believe, set 2 and pass. Yep, set 2, pass. So Mechaba, Cosmic Cyclone, and an Imperm, and pass. They go for Raigeki. I'll just let that happen because I'm like, there's not really a whole lot that they can do. And then I realized that they're playing Blue Eyes, and I'm like, oh, okay. So, well, I can't, I don't die, which is nice. They're going to go to the end phase and set 3. I'm going to Cosmic Cyclone at least one of their cards. I Cosmic Cyclone to Quaking Mirror Force, which isn't like the greatest, but it's not bad. I draw the second Shaddoll Fusion for turn, so I'm like, well, this kind of sucks. They're going to Threatening Roar on the normal summon of Aleister. So this is a very weird game. It's not the highest of quality, but it's fine. We're going to go for Invocation. I am going to go for a Mechaba because that's literally like... Oh, just kidding. I go for Augoeides. I forgot. And then I'm going to go for Invocation. So the reason I don't pop this is because it literally cannot be targeted, and I do need to target it in order to destroy it. So that kind of sucks. But I do have Augoeides, so at the very least I'm not dead. But they attack right over me, and now I'm at 1,000 life points. If I get attacked one more time with this guy, I just straight up am going to lose. So let's see how this goes. I end up drawing Maxx for turn, which really sucks. I'm going to go for the third Aleister, the Invoker. We're going to go for Invocation here. I'm going to Invocate, and this is where things get interesting. I'm going to use the Maxx that I just drew for turn in order to go for Magllanica. The reason I do this is because I can attack over this Chaos Max Dragon with the Aleister, the Invoker, or I can boost up to the same amount of attack with the Aleister in order to just crash and kill it. So, yeah. That's what I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to normal summon out another Aleister the Invoker. We drew Invocation for turn, so we're going to go for Invocation. We're going to banish the Blue Eyes White Dragon in order to go for a Mechaba. And then we're going to activate our Invocation again in order to add back that Aleister. Then we are going to go and activate the Aleister, boosting up the Magllanica, and then attack in and crash. Then attack in once again with the Mechaba. So here things are getting interesting. I don't have any protection from monster effects, so I'm kind of screwed. But it doesn't end up mattering, because obviously they're playing a ritual deck. I'll just negate the ritual, or the ritual spell. So I'm actually going to Imperm this, because I don't want them to get their monster. I already saw that they had the spell, so I'm like, okay, if I can prevent the monster from getting to their hand, we're good. And this would have gotten them to their monster. They're then going to Tribute Summon for Blue Eyes White Dragon and then not attack. I don't know why they didn't attack. I think they thought that I had an Aleister. I don't. They could have attacked me and gotten rid of my Mechaba, and then I wouldn't have had any more, and I would have been screwed. But it's fine. We are going to go for Invocation. We are going to banish the Dark and banish the Aleister in order to go into Caliga. Caliga basically just says, hey, only one monster effect. Thank you very much. And only one monster can attack. So I'm going to just go to the end phase here and be like, okay, you can either attack into my Mechaba and lose that advantage yourself, or you can attack into my Caliga, and that's totally fine. But now I have the Invoker back in hand, which is very important. We are then drawing Prosperity off the top, which is okay. We're going to go for Prosperity for a 3. We're going to search for... What do we end up grabbing? We grab the Ecclesia here. The reason I grab Ecclesia is because I'm going to special summon it, and then I'm going to activate the effect. I'm going to get Bottomless, which is This shows you the power level of this game. But it's fine. We're going to Ecclesia, grab out that Dogmatika punishment. And I literally cannot deal with a singular freaking Blue Eyes White Dragon. I have no monsters in my deck that are high enough attack to deal with that. But he's going to go for his Chaos form for the Ritual Summon, and I'm going to negate that with Mechaba. So, there you go. No Ritual Summoning. He then decides to attack now for some reason, now that he knows that I have the Aleister in hand. And, yeah, at this point, it's basically just game. Yeah, he goes for Waboku. That doesn't really matter. He goes for Manju here. Searches out the Ritual Spell. He goes for the Ritual Spell again. I'm just going to negate that again, using another Shaddoll Fusion. And at this point, he does attack, which is funny. He loses another 400 life points off of the Ariel. I'm going to search out another Aleister the Invoker. I'm then going to Dogmatika Punishment because I can. And then I will attack in for lethal. That game was all sorts of a mess. Alright, and now I know for a fact that in this deck, I have the Artemis. I have finally fixed my own sins. So yeah, here we go for Terraforming, we go for the Magical Meltdown, we are going to search out Aleister the Invoker, we are going to normal summon the Invoker, we are going to grab ourselves an Invocation, we are then going to link off into Artemis, Artemis, and then I am going to slap down that Invocation, and we are going to go for a Mechaba. Then we are going to activate Invocation once again, in order to grab back the Aleister the Invoker, and then we should all fusion here. We are going to go for a Winda. And at this point, we have basically locked them out of the game. There is not a whole lot that many decks can do in the face of a Winda and a Mechaba. So, there's that. We also grab ourselves a Wendi. Here they activate Lightning Storm, which is fine. They can still only special summon once. They're then going to go for True King Lithogem and then attack in, not realizing that Aleister the Invoker says you can target a fusion monster and it gains 1,000 attack and defense, and not just specifically an Invoked. So, they attack in and kill themselves. They've already used their special summon, so they can't use something like this miscellaneous. So there's that. During main phase 2, I am going to summon out the Fleurdelis, and at that point they just surrender, realizing that I have well enough, basically lethal on board, because I can grab back my Aleister. Or no, I can't. But, you know, I did search out the Wendi, so I could go for Wendi, and I believe that's lethal. So, there you go. So, we're back with the deck, and yeah, this deck is... That last game is normally how things should go. Basically, your goal is to summon out a Mechaba and a Winda, or at the very least one or the other, and then slow your game down in order to get things like a Shaddoll Fusion for a Construct or a Winda or what have you. It's very, very good as a control deck. We have powerful hand traps like Gamma and Maxx, as well as, you know, board breakers in general, just, you know, Lightning Storm. We have Aleister, normal summon. A lot of things that kind of really have to be responded to. Otherwise, the opponent just kind of loses a whole lot of advantage. Nadir Servant at 1, you know, if you end up drawing it, it can be insanely powerful. Aleister the Invoker, you know, the Ecclesia to grab the Dogmatika punishment. All of these things are just really, really solid and really, I don't want to say slow the game down, but like, force the opponent to have outs. And that's more or less why this deck is so good. It's also very simple, very easy to play. So, yeah, I'd highly recommend it if you want to get to Platinum, if you want to be, you know, at the top. But it's not the most fun. It's pretty simple, it's pretty generic. But if you like control decks, which I do, then I would give it a try. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and just oh my gosh, my brain died. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did indeed enjoy, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.